different, me being on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, and now we're streaming. So we have gone live.
Oh,
So,
we are live. I better go over there and check what it looks like live.
I'm watching. Hang on.
Why?
I've just got all the notifications.
Why? Why? Jeez, your why?
Why?
Why? Because why's a crooked letter and you can't straighten it?
Why?
I see me on top.
Of course.
I should stream a bit of Armour 3, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you can do that. Alan doesn't care what you do. He's only doing his Star Trail stuff.
Oh, no, well, no point in it now. The servers are dead.
Right then. Well, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So we shall have a tutorial on how we make a Star Trails video from a whole load of photographs taken with a DSLR. So I guess... Yay, yippee do. So anyway, I guess the first thing we ought to do is move over to Lightroom and... Oh, hang on. I should have done this first, shouldn't I? Move over to Lightroom.
You haven't got many images there.
No, I haven't got many images here. I've got quite a lot of images here, actually. You just can't see them all. Because I can't make the thumbnails small.
That wouldn't be because of your monitor for any reason, would it?
No, this is just, it's a folder with 1,429 images in it. These are the images that I took on my last effort to do a time lapse on the 31st of August. And the first thing I suggest we do is actually have a look at how I process the images to get them ready to turn it into a time lapse.
Do the good folks out there need to know what type of camera you actually used?
I actually used a Canon EOS 50D, which is a DSLR from around about 2010. And
so not a P900?
Sorry?
So not a P900 then?
So not a P900 then, no. I used that, and I used a Sigma 20-40 f2.8 zoom lens set to 20mm and f2.8. The exposure was 8 seconds and it was at ISO 3200.
Now ISO, I've heard of that before.
That's how sensitive the sensor is to light. So basically, you give it a bit of amplification. You give the sensor a bit. You give the output from the sensor a little bit of amplification on the way, and it makes it a bit more sensitive. And then I am processing this in a program called Adobe Lightroom, which I like to use because it's very good for managing your images and for processing them. It's got one of the better processors available. and this is kind of the default 0 settings at the moment. And to get it to the settings I used to actually create the original video, and for the video we will be producing for Terry for his intermission screen for his live streams, we need to do a little processing. So I thought we would start with that. One of the things that Adobe allows you is to have different profiles which give you a different base conversion of the raw file. It's just like changing a picture style in a camera from monochrome to color to vivid to any one of the other settings that it gives you to allow you to set your basic level of processing. Now in this case I am going to use a profile called Adobe Vivid. There are many that we can use, and you will not see much effect on this image of changing them because there's not a lot to see at the moment. So I shall select the Vivid and close out the profile browser. Now Canon sensors of the vintage of the one that I'm using don't like having the brightness increased too much when they're dark. So if I just were to simply up the exposure slider, which brightens the whole image overall, although you will see the stars starting to come out, you will also start to see quite a lot of noise that presents itself as bands of dots running across the image. Like, as I keep going with that slider, you can see that as well as bringing up the stars, it brings up the brightness of the background, and that's something we don't really want to have happen.
Alan,
Yes?
the picture that we can see can't be seen on YouTube.
The picture that you...
So the picture that you're adjusting at the moment can't be seen on YouTube.
Oh no.
Oh.
Come through.
They can see all of your pictures as thumbnails.
Yes. That is not correct, and because I noticed that it had changed the okay, what is up with... Fixed it, I think.
It still hasn't. Oh, there it is. It's fixed. Yep.
Yeah. Well, should we start again?
Down.
We didn't miss too much. I selected the profile to vivid. One of the things I didn't do was correct the white balance setting, which really should be set to daylight rather than auto, because there's not really enough light in the image for auto to be able to detect what is what. Now, as I was saying, if we push up the exposure, as well as brightening the stars, it brightens the background and it brightens everything, and we start seeing noise. So in this case, I'm not going to use any additional exposure setting. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a slider that only adjusts the highlights section of the image. So that's the brighter parts, and it doesn't brighten the background. So as I bring this up to 100%, you'll see that the stars all brighten up without the benefit of brightening the background. And just to make sure that the background sky stays black, I'm going to darken down the shadows side of it, but only by 50%. And then the final thing, the final part of the tone settings is I'm actually going to increase the point that is seen as white. So the point where the image gets to absolute white, I'm going to reduce that so that the lighter, so that again the lighter parts get brighter. But with the white point, I'm only going to move that up to 50%. And again, I'm going to pull the black point down again to make the black darker. And that goes down 20%. So now we have the levels of the image set correctly, and we now go to a one-to-one view of the image. What I will do is I'm going to set the clarity, which effectively changes the contrast on small details. So give it about 25 on the clarity. That gives you some definition between very fine detail, which is of course what we have with the stars. I'm then going to set some noise reduction, and I'm going to set that to a fairly hefty 50% for the luminance noise, which is the colorless noise, and the same. I'm going to give it the same 50% for the colored noise. And finally, I'm going to tick the box for it to have it remove the chromatic aberration that is caused by the fact that lenses tend to focus blue light and red light at different distances. So the chromatic aberration correction corrects for that. Now, that's a very basic overview of setting the values. And finally, of course, the sharpening. Mustn't forget a bit of sharpening. So I shall set my default amount of sharpening as well. Sharpening basically makes edges look sharper by brightening up the light side of an edge and darkening down the dark side of an edge a little bit. So this is but one of 1400 and odd images that needed processing. And what I actually did was I actually saved this as a preset so that I could apply it very quickly to other images. So if we go back to the grid view, now that I've processed that image, and I can now make that spare copy disappear. Because
I'm glad you did a preset, because I don't think I had a spare week to sit around here and watch you do all of them individually.
Yep. So what I would do now is I would select all of the images in the folder, and in one go, and apply the preset to them. Now, fortunately, you don't even have to wait to watch me do that, because I've already done it. So the next stage, which I've also already done, is to export the images to JPEG files, because we can't do a lot with the raw files because they're not really usable as a final output stage. So and again, Lightroom makes this very easy for us, because we can export multiple files. If I select every file in the folder, it will export every file in the folder automatically. In this case, I have it set up to save the files in a subfolder of my folder of my choice. It will name the files in numerical order, starting with, and one important thing to remember is to have plenty of starting zeros, because sometimes some programs still sort, when they do a numerical sort, will sort them so that they go 1, 10, 11, 12, 19, 100, 199, 1000, and then once you get to the highest possible number in the 1000, then you get 2, 20, 200, etc. If you put in the leading zeros, it will never do that. So in this case, I've made sure that I've got 3 leading zeros, so that when I have 1,400 images, I don't run out of digits. The images are going to be resized so that the short edge, the vertical edge, is 720 pixels long. This is so that they will fit nicely on a 720p video stream, which is what a lot of people still use for streaming to YouTube. And this will make a video that will suit the end user's requirements exactly. Now, as I said, exporting 1,400 images does take a little while, so I have already done that, and I have already done that for all of the 3 sets of star trails that we will be using as we continue. So my next move is to go to Adobe Premiere, where we will be generating the video files. And we should just see all this straight to the stream because I am just transmitting the desktop straight to the stream. So in Premiere, I am going to open a new project. And let me find a nice location for it. Let's call that folder Star Trail. Oh. Create the new folder first. There we are. Give it a name and we'll call it Trail as well. Click that to OK. And we have the
break out the crayons quick.
Break out the crayons quick. So
I can colour in.
So now we are in. So now we are in the Adobe Premiere. We are in Adobe Premiere Pro 2019, and we are in the basic assembly workspace, ready to import our media. So the first thing I will do is go to the media browser, and
I think I turned off the crayon, so I think you're all right.
So the star trail images from the first test stream that I did, first test exposures that I did, are in the folder that I have named Star Trail 00, and I select those, and what I'm going to now, I'm now going to start a new sequence, which will allow me to generate some video, and for this particular piece of video I need it to be 30 frames a second, and I want that to be 1280 pixels by 720 pixels, and I think we shall call this Trail 0. So now we have a new sequence ready to put some video clips into. Now in this case, each of the individual photographs is going to be one frame of video. But because I want to be able to have a little bit of room at the start just to fade the video up, I'm going to drop first frame at time 0 onto the timeline, and move that down so we can see it. And then instead of being 1 frame long, I'm going to make it 29 frames long.
So it'll act like a
So it will be
image that'll
almost 1 second buffer to the start of the video. And then I'm going to select, let's go back to the media browser, select all the files, and then I'm going to drop all of the files on the end of the section.
and they'll all drop in order of
And
file.
they all, and this is why having the correct number of zeros in front is helpful, because they will all drop in order.
Because we don't want the stars to go backwards now, do we?
We don't want the stars to go backwards now.
Wouldn't they be backwards in my side of the hemisphere?
Well, they would rotate the other way, yes, but then you wouldn't actually be able to see these stars rotating in your hemisphere, because there's this big thing in the way called the Earth.
Ah.
Okay, so now we've got all our images imported, we can go to the editing section. And this now allows us to control our video effects on the left-hand side. We can see the result on the right-hand side, and we have the timeline at the bottom. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the opacity, which is how see-through the image is, and I'm going to at the first frame I'm going to set it as a keyframe. Keyframes tell the system that you're going to do something at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the opacity to 0. And we don't see the image. I shall now go to the end frame, and I shall set another keyframe, and I shall set the opacity to 100%. So now, if I slowly move along the timeline for that 1 second, we get that fading out to nothing. So it takes 1 second for the image to fade up.
Yeah.
I'm then going to move to the out.
We're looking for...
I'm now going to move to the out end of the video. Unfortunately, because they're all single frames, it's very hard to see them, because it puts a little grey box around each individual frame, and they're too small to see on that scale. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the last frame, and for this one I'm actually going to pull it out to make it a whole second long. So a full 30 frames. There we go. And instead of setting it at the start, I'm going to set it 1 frame in, so we will see our last frame normally, and then I will set my key point, my keyframe, and this time I'm going to leave that one at 100%. Move to the end. Add another keyframe and drop the opacity to 0.
Yeah.
So that it will fade the other way.
Fade out.
So I bring the timeline back to the head and we can hit play on the test and we will see the video play through. And this is playing back at 30 frames per second, and as it was recorded at 0.1 frames per second, we are actually seeing it playing back at 300 times actual speed. So we have our first one done. Now back to the assembly. Back to the second. Create another new sequence. .30 frames a second. 1280. 720.
Call it something 1.
Trial 1. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. I'm going to stick that in at 0. Pull it down till I can see it. Make it 29 long. So select all of the images and add them. And just wait a few moments while the computer catches up with the placing all of those files. I think there are nearly 2,000. We'll see when we get to the other end. I could have, of course, set that to be 1 second long, 30 frames long, and then done what I did at the far end. But as it's just simpler to do a Control All, to use Control A to select all of the images, it was just then easier to drop a second copy of the image onto the timeline. $1,217 is the final one, and we pull that out to 1 second.
I'm just thinking of like this back in the old days before cameras were digital and you had a film and somebody took individual photographs onto actual film. And had
Yeah, and then well, you would probably shoot it with a cine camera, so that you were shooting it onto the film you were going to use.
no.
And then you'd be able to shoot your long exposure and move the frame forward, and shoot a long exposure and move the frame forward. And as we can see, we now have the second clip running. Okay. And let us get the final clip. Of 80 by 7.
20?
720. Yes, if my headphone cable would stop wrapping itself around the keyboard and blocking off the keys I want to press. Trial 2. Oh, obviously didn't drop it on there properly.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the image? It didn't show up. How far out? 30?
29. 29 frames.
Okay.
Drop the images in. Back to editing. Hello. I hope you're all enjoying this.
Globy's just dropped in.
Yeah, I saw Globy just drop in.
Did you bring anyone else, Globy, or just yourself?
Well, his mic mightn't be working yet.
No, I had it sticking up in the air. That's why.
Hey, Glenn.
Hello.
Talking about your mic, you know.
Yeah, it might be an idea if I don't stick it up, facing up towards the ceiling. Yeah, no, nobody else was there.
Set the keyframes just like I did before. Pull the time out so I can see the whole of it. Select the end and zoom it back in.
And we're on Alan's live stream now, Globy, not on mine.
I know.
And
I'm waiting for my spanner.
You'll get your spanner in
Poor
just.
Alan's got his hands full doing this, and then you want your spanner. Jeez. Use your foot, Alan. Grab it out of the toolbox and throw it over to him.
I wrote in chat, spanner.
Okay.
There you go, spannered.
Oh,
Right.
thank you.
Happy now?
I'm just glad that now Peter can't bear me.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I'm too much of a gentleman.
Right, again, set the keyframe.
Did you say you're a gentleman,
Who said he's a gentleman?
Peter?
Oh,
Well,
flip.
we've got it on record if he did.
Right. Select the video clip, and then we can set the keyframe. And to the end, and set the keyframe again, and set that down to 0. And now there's only one thing left to do, and that's create another new sequence.
Oh, another one. Okay.
Another one. Let me make that 30. I probably would have been better off changing the defaults, but I've left it set up for what I'm more likely to do.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'll set that to output. So we have another new stream, and we now have three video sequences that we have edited together that we can now edit together for the final output. So the first thing I will do is I will drop the first star trail in trail 0 there. Drop the second one in next to it, and I don't need to worry about adding a fade between them because I already added those in the sequence to the start and end of the sequence.
So they'll fade into one and then fade into another.
Yeah. I did it that way because I didn't actually want to lose any of the sequence to a crossfade or anything. So we now have a 2.5 minute video, which plays that. And then we can have a jump to there, and you'll see that it crossfades out and fades to new one in.
Same
and,
again.
and it will be the same again to the
Cool.
to the final one.
Wow.
And
So
I
you
thought
have
I'd
to
just
go
let
through
this-
this every time that you do it, Alan.
Yes, I mean this is literally how you. I mean this is literally how you would build a video using Premiere. Is you start with all your clips, so all the shots that you've taken in video or as stills, and you can basically edit each of your scenes together as a sequence, and then you edit your sequences together to make the whole thing. You can also add lots of effects, lots of different effects. You can add text, still images. You can make it do camera in. You can make it do video in video effects, or pretty much anything you can think of. This will do it for you. And then the final step is to export media. In this case, it's going to output an MP4 video file. And it is simply a matter now of hitting the export button. But that will use quite a lot of resources, and as I am streaming, I don't really want to do that. So again, it will be, here is one I made earlier. So if I bring up Adobe Bridge, which is Adobe's file manager program, this lets you. I like this when one is working with.
Yeah, the screen. I mean, YouTube can't quite see that part of the screen, Alan.
YouTube can't quite see.
That side of the screen.
Oh, let's see it.
Is it just my late? I think I might be just running a lot behind. That's all.
Yeah, I'm checking the stream as it's going.
Yeah, I'm running a lot behind.
Oh, come on! Don't hang, please don't hang. I think I've crashed. I think I've crashed it. Oh no! There we go.
No, it's working.
And there we go. Playing the video. So that, guys, is how we make a time lapse.
I really like that one.
And now all I have to do is give the file to Terry, and Terry can use it as his intermission screen.
Even though we'll have to explain to all the Aussies it's going the wrong way.
Well, it's a view you Aussies don't get.
Yeah, well, Alan, I can honestly say you're the first man that's showing me Polaris.
I've seen Polaris.
Oh, bragger.
But I was only a lad.
Yeah.
That could have so gone another direction, but I'm glad it didn't.
There we go. Back to the Zoom window.
Now we can have some fun.
Now you can have some fun. So, I think that could have gone better, but I really need to practice on the talking.
That went all right.
And did everybody enjoy themselves?
I was going to say it's no worse than my first streams, Alan.
How
That's
many?
interesting.
I was going to say, how many of you did I put to sleep?
No, not me. I actually find it quite interesting, Alan. Like the audio side of it, I know it's a very similar process between the audio and the video, but to see you actually turning each picture into a video itself, as you would like Terry said before, like splicing a whole heap of pictures together in a movie format. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It is interesting. I've seen it done before. No, that's very interesting.
yeah, I mean, the thing with using the Adobe tools is it's a very hands-on method of doing it. It's not hugely automated. I mean, at least I don't have to go drop one image file, drop the next image file, etc., etc., etc. At least I can drop all of them, and I can tell it how long to make it. If I were just dropping still images into a video, then I might change the default so that instead of each image being 1 frame of video, each image could be 5 seconds of video instead. So the default would be for it to drop it in and it actually be repeated for enough frames to make 5 seconds of video instead of making 1 frame. But and again, the defaults that I had set in there for the sequences and what I use when I'm putting it together making a 4K video. So rather than change the defaults, I just left it and changed them as I went along. Now, there's one thing that I have not set up, and that's the soundboard, because I didn't really want to overstretch the computer too much. So
Yeah, probably.
no crickets, no
Yeah,
dells.
probably not a good idea.
Not while I'm editing a video in here, as well as having it streamed to Zoom and OBS to YouTube.
Yeah, we can only stretch it so far.
Hey, Terry, there was one thing. At least I wasn't as late starting as you normally are.
Oh, no, I've been getting better the last couple.
True.
Getting closer.
I would have been a lot more ready to start if I hadn't have had to recover the computer after the power crashed it.
Yeah, that meat is hungry. It's got to be fed regularly.
Yeah. The worst bit is if the power trips out. Oh, and it also tripped out the trip for the power sockets as well, which is annoying. But I then had to reinstall my video drivers because crashing the computer seems to have adverse consequences for the video drivers.
Yeah. Right. My obvious question is, OBS is OBS the place where it loops it into a continuous loop, the video.
Sorry, Terry, I didn't quite hear that.
When I play the video of the star trails to actually make it loop continuously, OBS is what tells it to do that.
You will need to tell your video player that's playing it to loop continuously.
Okay.
But it can be doing that in the background. You don't have to have that in the foreground, because you can have that in a window that's in the back that's sitting in the background on your desktop, and as you swap backwards and forwards, you'll just drop in at whichever point it happens to be in the cycle.
Yeah, so it wouldn't. Yeah, it won't matter where it is.
Yeah.
Once it's shown.
That's one of the reasons why I put identical fade ins and fade outs on the ends, so that it will, and also between the sequences, because then it'll just have exactly the same fades between if the video player does a clean restart without hanging around.
Oh, well, I'll test that in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll probably send you the video via Dropbox or Google Drive or something. Probably Google Drive. I think I've got probably Google or one of them anyway. Whichever one's got the most space available on it.
Hey, should we put Quasar in timeout?
Why?
Because doesn't have a spanner.
Does he? Oh, quick! Let's pounce on him.
Oh, quick! I'll get it.
Pounce.
Pounce, quick! Bounce, Quasar.
Buggers.
Time you out. Quick.
I've got it up. Should I do it?
Yeah, so I've got it up. I don't have to push the button or not.
No, I can't.
I can't now.
Won't let me. It won't let me.
That
Oh,
layer.
no, it won't quick enough. Aussie Globehead still unspanned. No,
No, I got a spanner.
won't quick enough. Oh, next person that
That
comes in,
layer.
will pounce on it.
That
Leah,
some layer.
Yeah.
get a spanner.
Yes, she
Can I
does.
please have a wrench?
Spanner.
Timer out.
Naughty corner.
Oh dear. You've been hanging around with that.
You've
too
been-
often.
Leah's been wrenched for spannered for ages.
Yeah. It's just
Oh,
she,
I have got one too.
yeah, she hasn't typed. That's all.
You didn't check your toolbox.
I thought I had spannered everybody.
Yeah, we're all
Well, I
here.
only just found your channel. I did ask for it before. I thought I called something else.
I stuck
You
a
are.
I
He
stuck
asks.
I stuck a link to it in Terry's Discord
Did you?
and my
Yeah?
Discord
Must have been
and
outside having a cigarette.
half a dozen other bloody Discord servers that I found.
Having a naughty cigarette.
Oh, any excuse is better than none. Ah. Well, that was interesting.
I can't believe we've only been going an hour. It seemed like forever
Yeah.
while I was doing it.
With that program you just showed us with those individual still images, obviously you're able to edit a video
Yeah, you can have
and
up
chop.
to, what is it, 50 tracks on yours, Alan?
Oh, I don't know. I've never actually tried that many.
You don't-
I mean, yeah.
I don't think you need more than 50. would you?
Where's my mouse gone? There it is.
Adobe Premiere, you can have unlimited.
Yeah,
Um,
it's.
Yeah, throw a video in and play around with it and show us what things can.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
I was
that
just-
video of me gaming the other night?
No,
Where we
sorry.
were showing you all the glitches and the hacking in. You didn't watch it?
Well, when Gorgie was doing his as well, and everyone else was sharing their games, Carl and
No. I recorded when I was playing, and I stitched it all together in a program called Sony Vegas. It's the same thing. You can add a bit of a clip here and a bit of a clip there. You can time lapse them. You can fade them in, fade them out, etc. You can add text.
did you put that in computer?
Like when you saw that video where it said Quasar production and blah blah blah.
No, I've got
No.
no. Where did you put it? Did you put it in computers?
I'll upload it into your Discord and you can watch it.
My computer can't handle any Quasar videos. It crashes.
Need technical support every time, you reckon?
I'll put it in fair suck. It's
Well,
only
how much- If I'm going to see it in there, everyone posts all sorts of crap in there.
where would you like me to post it?
Oh shit.
It's just share your shit or whatever.
No, share your shit's usually for other people's vids or a video.
I can always delete it after you've watched it. I mean,
Put it in the videos.
Tech doc videos, maybe.
well, there you go.
Okay.
I've had to cut it under 8 meg. Okay.
It's a virus,
Hello?
Terry. Don't touch it. It's a virus.
Taking a hard time uploading. Why is it taking so long?
Watching this silly idiot GIF that Leah posted. How do they not know the surf was coming in on them?
Oh, I've just realised I'm being rather daft.
Why? What did you do this time?
Well, I'm still sharing to you guys, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've got our pictures up on
the outside
YouTube.
don't know what you're looking
But the
at.
outside doesn't know what I'm looking at because I should have done that. And now they can see what I'm looking at. So I just thought I would.
I'm still waiting for Quasar to post something.
It's taking its time to upload. Discord must be having a bit of a problem with this time.
Yep.
Of night.
I've been having problems with it.
I'm not having any problem.
I can.
The video itself is about 500 megabytes, but I've had to cut it down, the quality and all that kind of stuff to get it under 8 meg. So it's
That sucks, that 8 meg shit.
yeah. So don't view it in full screen, like view it in like quarter screen or something like that. It's processing and now it's up in Tech Docs videos. It's called Nerdbot. You have to download it and watch it.
And no viruses?
No.
Oh, computer crashed. Crash.
Well, that hard drive. Borrowed time, Terry. Remember that.
What's that?
I said your hard drive is on borrowed time.
I'm quite all right at the moment.
Yeah, it runs fine while it's running, doesn't it? That's obvious. God damn it.
That's a good hard drive. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Wait until it goes.
Yeah, only because you say so.
It's only a matter of time.
No, it's not. Nothing wrong with it. Don't you worry, hard drive. You're going all right.
When you get a lightning strike on your house.
Don't listen to him.
You'll be there pushing the smoke back in at Terry soon to keep it working. Bloody held together by zip ties and duct tape, for crying out loud.
So
bit of dust.
You know, if you're gonna edit video, where's my mouse being a pain in the ass?
I expect a better quality video.
Maybe you stop whinging.
Yeah, I'm just about to look at it now myself.
Yeah, well,
it's amazing how you have to practice so much to be able to shoot somebody as you're moving along. I can't do it.
That's why you need a hack.
See, this is my this is my bacon. This is going to be my second bacon roll video. But one of the
how to make it.
If we go to the effects tab, which might take a while for it to fire up because it's getting a little
occupational health and hazard. She's got a cut on her arm.
Yeah, occupational hazard when you
shouldn't be making food with a cut on your arm.
You got gloves on?
Not actually.
Can still transfer it. Let's just pick this one apart. This is a flat Earth video. It's got to be.
Went into pictures. What are going to pictures for? It's supposed to go.
You put it in Tech Docs.
I don't know what it did.
That's where I put it. That's where you asked me to put it.
Oh, on my computer, you dodo.
Down the bottom, it should come up, show where it was downloading.
Yeah, but my video.
You've moved a few folders around, haven't you, Terry?
Yeah, I mucked up. Yeah, I mucked up my video. folder thing.
Hey, Alan, is this the one with the poached egg?
This is the one with the poached egg.
Aha.
But I'm just trying to find the. I can't remember.
I'm trying to read what's on the board. Something chop. What?
Chop, dice, slice,
Dice.
peel.
Okay. That's like a KTEL product. It chops, it dices, it slices. But wait,
Yeah.
there's more.
Oh, it's like that guy with the steak knives. Wait, there's more.
Yeah, but if you call now, in the next 15 minutes, we'll throw in this chopping block. Or this a
I
knife
have a
holder.
feeling it's warp stabilizer that I need. It is. That's it. It's warp stabilizer.
What does that do?
If I set that to no motion, it will analyze for a while, maybe a while, and
Search it by name, Terry.
What are you talking about?
this was shot.
Did you find?
This video was shot handheld on a mobile phone with somebody with slightly shaky hands.
I'm
Okay.
just trying to watch this fuzzy video that somebody put up.
Are you watching it full screen?
Now Terry's picking on it.
Yeah, sure. Explain.
God.
No, I watched it. You watch it. Minimize it.
I've got it in a 1 centimeter square video, and it's still bloody blurry.
Oh God, you.
No, so you're going to expect that because Quasar said he had to break it down so it'd fit into 8 meg or whatever. So you're going to have a
It's 500 megabytes fitted into 8.
yeah. It's going to look a bit different.
How the hell did you manage that?
Sorry.
Turned off all the
That does seem like. What did you do? Turn it in at 144p? No, you turned it into 144i, didn't you?
No. I cut down a 500 MP4 and down to a 8 megabyte WMV. If you watched it, the original full screen is beautiful, but to get into Discord, you got to rip out most of the quality.
You could have shared the video into Zoom.
Sorry?
You could have shared the video through Zoom.
Can I?
Yeah, well, after Alan's bacon roll.
But what am I looking at besides the video? Is there something in it that we should?
Well, at the beginning, I've got that galaxy spinning.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got my.
Right. I'll stop share for
This is
a
all
minute.
the stuff that you can add.
Because there you go. Now you can share your video via Zoom.
Where is it?
Because it's going to because it's likely to take a while for Premiere to finish doing what Premiere is trying to do.
Yeah, and then you can walk us through it then, Quasar, because I've got no idea what's happening. All I see is shooting.
That's what happens in a shooting game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
You see shooting in a shooting game.
Yeah.
It's all right, Terry. No one gets hurt.
No animals died in this filming.
So I can pause that one.
What was that?
Like
Is that
now?
Was that Quasar Productions?
I think we might be able to hear it.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up!
Why are we quiet for?
I-
Oh, we're waiting for sound.
You won't get no sound because he hasn't got tomato.
Mm.
Or banana or apple.
Or eggplant.
although I think we did discover there is a sound option, isn't there?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, you can share your sound.
Yeah, we didn't realise that. So you can share your sound without needing.
Yeah, only one person needs to have a mixing desk.
It gives you the option at the start when you start the meeting. You want to share your sound.
Yep. I think I'm not really benefiting from.
Did you just fire through bloody sandbags?
No, there's a long range sniper. He stuck his head out like this one here.
All right. I just look like it fired through sandbags. That's all. You know, on like a cheat.
Yeah, so you can add all that kind of stuff, clips together, text on the screen, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hey, you happy now, Terry? You saw the video. Better quality.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, well, that's all right. It was only music anyway.
Yeah. Any
And we
music?
don't. We don't want any copyright strikes, do we?
Oh no.
I think that one's what is it called?
Free.
Two Gates from Hell or something. I can't remember. It was a few years back I did that.
Hmm.
I don't know. Somebody I know did a video and they used YouTube music and got a copyright strike.
Well, there is.
and they used YouTube's music.
Yeah, there is
Well, the
YouTube
music
free
you-
music and YouTube music. There's two different.
Oh, it was the free one. It was the free YouTube. But and for some reason it copyrighted them.
Oh fuck! Well, if someone else has used it, the robot's so stupid that it probably would have had a go at them because you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
geez, if the algorithm's so stupid that it sees robot wars as animal cruelty, the algorithm's definitely got problems.
Your computer's
my computer's getting there. It's no 89. It's 89% done. It's 89% done. Stabilizing the image. In fact, I'm on frame 42nd. Frame 550 of 594.
Oh, that was handy to know. When I put up media player, what Quasar's video was, I could see where the shuffle and the repeat thing was.
the loop.
Yeah, it doesn't say loop, repeat.
Using VLC.
I could have used VLC, but I was using just Windows Media Player just then.
See what the warp stabilizer does in Premiere. If it doesn't crash, if you don't crash Premiere like it feels like I just did.
I'll be back in a second. I'm getting a coffee.
It actually takes your video and works out what should be stationary in the image, and then does image stabilization on it for you. So you can go from wibbly wobbly handheld video taken on your camera to so rock steady it might have been filmed using the world's most expensive gimbal system. But I think getting it to do this while streaming might not have been the world's best idea.
Just a bit too much for your computer.
I think it was a bit much for the computer. Along with the streaming and the Zoom and everything else. And my poorly SSD that's almost full. And the fact that the video we're trying to process is residing on a external drive that's fed through USB 2.
I was on the train today. We had a bogan pantomime. Guy and a girl walking up and down the carriages, yelling and screaming at each other.
Oh, so they were getting married, were they?
It's so funny watching them. As long as you don't stare at them, you're all right. Because one guy stared at him, and they started attacking him. Yeah, I was looking out the window.
La 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 la.
And then they took off up in the next carriage. It was one of the newer trains, so you had just a sliding door and you'd go between carriages. And they went up in the other one, they're yelling and screaming up there, and then they wandered back down to the one I was in, and then they wandered back up again. And it was all the trip into town was back and forth of them arguing. God. You get plenty of bogan pantomimes on Melbourne trains.
We haven't got too many bogans round. We haven't got too many bogans in the village. But the town of Great Yarmouth, in there are a whole ton of bogans. Have you guys heard of the TV program Jeremy Kyle?
Yes, they all come from there. All the guests.
The block of flats where we used to live before we came here, of the six flats on our stairwell, 3 had been on the Jeremy Kyle program. 3 of those families.
Yeah, he's not on anymore. Somebody killed himself or something, didn't they?
Yeah, somebody killed themselves after being on there, and because because they promise you all sorts of shit and then don't deliver, of course. It's pretty normal going, really.
Yeah, that was the British version of Jerry Springer.
Yeah, just about. Although I think Kyle went to America and did some shows in the States, didn't he?
I'm not sure. I watched his stuff on YouTube, and there were some real strange characters on there.
Oh yeah, there are some real strange ones on there. It's I'm trying to think of the right word. Interesting, but not, but not in a 15 degrees per hour sense. Yeah, there's unfortunately some parts of the borough of Great Yarmouth rate in the top 10 most deprived wards in the country. Or should I rephrase that to the top 10 list of shitholes to live in?
High bogan rating.
Yeah. And of course, because it's a small seaside town, you don't get any of the advantages of inner city regeneration shit that a lot of other places get.
So you don't get the yuppies coming in.
Well, no, some parts of Yarmouth are quite nice. Yeah, there's some nice bits of the borough that you can live in. You know, all the rural bits for a start. Yeah, the borough's about 20. The borough's about 20 miles long by about 7 or 8 miles wide. What with it being squidged along the coast. And by area, most of it's actually quite rural.
Hey, Terry.
Yeah, I just got back.
Did you have you seen the Gem Panda video where he goes through and debunks the fake moon landing? They were talking about how the moon landing was fake, and Gem Panda debunks the video.
No, I didn't get to see that.
I was watching it today on Unirock.
It
was pretty good.
Was it about 6 or 7 parter of his debunk of a funny thing happened on the way to the moon?
Mm.
Yeah, I have seen it. It's actually pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, how whoever did the video cut out things to fit their narrative.
Yeah, and a complete and utter lack of understanding of how cameras work and how film works.
The woman that was doing like the documentary thing, I wanted to punch her. Her voice was so annoying. Oh, anybody watch Shannon Q go ballistic last night and Jose's?
No, I haven't.
Jose flip flop. Oh, she went nuclear, and then just left.
Yes.
And that Montreal guy is an idiot. He really is. And Pissy Pete was in there, and he's as dumb as a brick, that guy. And they paint him into a corner, and he changed the subject all the time. That's all he does is change the subject because he doesn't know how to answer it.
Well, of course he doesn't know how to answer it. Usually there is no answer to it. How are you going to answer their questions? Their questions are Their questions are, I hate to say it, very often very non sequitur.
Montreal just can't seem to understand Coriolis effect. And then whoever has a different idea to him is an idiot and who is practicing pseudoscience.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say to them. They just, if it doesn't meet their narrative, they just ignore you.
Mm.
You know,
I'm sure there's something. I'm sure though that there's something wrong mentally with Pete Shea.
Oh yeah, there is. You got to be right there.
It's just you can hear it in the way he was talking last night. He's got a few spanners short of the toolbox.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of sandwiches short of the picnic.
Yeah.
6-pack short of
How
the
you
slab.
people talking?
Sorry, Quasar?
Oh yeah, he never shuts up, bloody Pete.
I want to know how he just keeps on talking, flipping from one sentence to another. It's just, I bet you can't do it for 24 hours.
I bet he can do it for 24 hours.
But people are talking about something. He just cuts in and tries to take over.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the bloke is in love with the sound of his own voice.
And P Mars is in there egging him on, and that. And I wrote in the chat, "Oh, Patrick, your mother let you out of the basement." He got pissed off for that.
Oh, because he hates people using his real name, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or Patrick.
You're doxing me.
I got a friend that can like talk for 5 hours, and then like by the time he stops, you're just too ragged, and you have to go to bed. You can't get a word in edge.
Well, that's kind of how these. The Gish Gallop is kind of how these guys operate, isn't
like,
it?
you can talk for 5 minutes, and you have to interrupt him, and you just have to, and he gets upset.
Yeah, but let me finish. Yeah, but yeah.
I haven't made my point yet. Give me another couple of hours.
Yeah.
And by the time he's made his point, he's gone through like about 10 different stories. What are we talking about?
So what was the original story? What was the first thing you said? Hello?
Yeah. And you've forgotten all of the wrong things that have been said that need correcting.
Yeah.
And if you can't correct everything there and then, you've lost, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, the floodies usually do that. They'll ask you a tricky question that you might not be able to answer straight off.
Yeah. He lives in what's that suburb down in Melbourne? Narry Warren.
Narry Warren.
Narry Warren. Yeah.
Who's that? Who lives Quasar's mate?
Dano. What's his last name?
Everyone's name's Dano. Dano. What's that?
No, it's Bruce.
Bruce.
Bruce. Hi, Bruce.
I think his last name's Allen.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think it's Danny Allen. Danny Allen.
LLEN, I hope.
There'd probably be double L.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he lost his. Well, he never had a license to lose in the first place, and he couldn't go get his license in Victoria, so he came up to Canberra and got his license.
Lenient on people in Canberra.
Sorry?
They're more lenient to get your license in Canberra.
Well, there's no interstate checking, so he got his license here. He came up and stayed at my place for a couple of weeks, did his L's, drove around for a little. He's about at nearly 50. Got his drove on and ran in Melbourne on his L's. Came back to Canberra, got his license.
This is before the time
Sorry?
of the. This is before the time of the logbook thing.
Well, he's not supposed to have a license in Melbourne, so his actual address is here. And he had a tow truck job, right? He had to go get his medium heavy vehicle license and he had to go and do a test in Victoria. And when he went to the court or something, and the court called him up and said, "Hey, you got to do this, sit this video and whatnot, blah blah blah." And they just looked at him and said, "How are you driving around in Victoria?" And Dano goes, "Well, I've got an ACT license." And the judge looked and said, "You're not supposed to have a license at all." Oh shit, that was funny. I don't know what happened at that. I don't know what happened. Amazing.
Well, I guess it's
Still hasn't
probably
got it
about
changed
time
over.
that I switched the stream off then, isn't it?
Well, what happened to the video you're doing with the sandwich?
Let's see if we've got some. I think the preview is it's too much. It's too much for the system.
Asking too much of the computer.
Yes.
Okay.
For OBS to stream and for us to share on Zoom and for it to play this is
Okay. I'd have to do an edited version of it somehow for us.
Yeah.
Like this is one I prepared earlier, type partly.
Yeah. I mean, it might be that I can stream it, but without the Zoom part going on. Because the problem is that the computer's having to run OBS and stream OBS to YouTube, and it's at the same time sending
So you might be able to screen share it through Zoom, but not through OBS.
Well, I could probably do the whole thing live as a stream, but not with a.
Yeah, I was just thinking of sharing it through Zoom if on my stream on Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm only sending it out in one direction, I might be. It might work. I shall have to
give that another test drive on Wednesday night to see what you can do.
Yeah. At least I can set it. At least I'll be able to set it up in advance and have some stabilized. I at least can do some stabilized and unstabilized video comparisons, can't I?
Yeah. Well, because you've shown us how you do still images, and now you can show us how you do a bit of an actual video, what you can do with it.
Yeah, I might have to pre-stabilize it because I think having it do the stabilization live might be a bit much.
Who's Darth Vader and
Peter. Like you can even cut bits and pieces out of videos you got on your hard drive, Terry.
Wow.
Yeah,
like maybe I'm not sure about AVIs. That's a different thing, but
it'll open AVIs.
Things like MP4.
It'll open.
It all depends on it all depends what's been used, if your system's got the codecs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Adobe
But you
give
can
you a
take-
lot of the codecs.
Yeah, but you can take bits and pieces out of any film that you got on your hard drive.
Yeah, because I've got an idea, but I'm not disclosing it here right now. I'll talk to Alan in private about something that I've got an idea for.
Yeah, well, you can, there's lots of free music you can get.
Oh, it's not to do with music. It's to do
No,
with.
well, you can use music as part of the intro.
Yeah, I could probably put some music with it, but it's not.
Yeah.
I can't explain it right now, but I'll.
Well, you can any movie. I can convert any movie, but put it that way. So if it's an MP4, MV, MKV, whatever it's called, AVI.
Well, the
You
only
can take,
is for my stream, and it's a bit of a thing I wanted to be wanting to do. I just didn't know how to do it.
yeah, well, it's like as you see Alan do it. He's using a timeline.
Hmm.
You can have up to 50 of those timelines, so you can have them all staggered. So one bit plays at this part of time, and then it can be faded into the second part, and you can have
and
still
you
image go out and
and
package some music and video.
whichever one happens. And if they're and as you stack them up, you can, if one's smaller than another, it effectively does video in video, because you see whatever is the top one of the stack. If you've got more than one bit of video in one section of the stack, it shows you whatever's on the top. But you can change how it blends it all together. You can do a lot of the things you can do with still images in Photoshop with layers, you can do with video in Premiere with layers.
Have you used Photoshop before, Terry?
Photoshop, not
Have
really.
Have you dealt with layers before? Was that a yes?
No.
Ah.
Yes, it was a no.
Fuck.
I'm trying to think of what I've done playing around with those things of what I did.
Working with layers is like working on sheets of acetate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
overlay. Is that like an overlay?
Well, you stack each layer up, and whatever you put on the layer is what you see. On the top layer is what you see, but you can change the way that it interacts with the layers underneath.
Mm-hmm. You can have the first clip play for, like, say 10 seconds, and then you can either merge it together with another one or have it on a different timeline. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as that video plays, it then fades into the next bit of video, etc.
No, I'm not.
So you go up to 50 layers, depending on where they stack in the timeline.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of fading in and out stuff.
Yeah, because again, it's
show, Alan.
Sorry,
I think you might have to show Cherry how to make video.
Yeah, but when I get to what I want to do, then
I think that's something for another stream, because one of the things that Adobe are not too good at, especially under Windows, is resource management. So they'll use resources and then not release them, but they'll use, instead of releasing the resources so they can reuse it, they just keep hold of the resources and then grab more, and then, oh dear, you haven't got any.
Well, that's why you might need a converter, a separate piece of software that can convert it and put it into a different frame, size, etc.
Oh, Adobe's very good at it. It's just that you know they keep upping the minimum spec. The minimum spec for it when I got this PC 3 years ago was I think 4 gigs of RAM, 8 recommended, and 16 would be super duper luxury. And now they're pretty much at 16 gigs is mandatory.
Minimum, yeah. Well, you're dealing with 4K and got 8K coming out soon.
Yeah.
Multiple camera angles, all that kind of stuff. So the specs are going to rise.
Oh, yeah.
How much RAM have you got, Alan?
16.
Okay.
I've got an i7 6700 processor.
Yes. Not an ideal processor for doing what you want to do.
Well,
you should go into the extreme versions, the X99, X299.
It was what I could afford at the time.
I understand that. I said that before.
You know, and to be honest, I spend much more time working with still images than with video images.
Yep.
And what I have is absolutely stonking for Photoshop and Lightroom, specification wise.
Well, maybe that SSD's too full, Alan.
Sorry?
Is your SSD too full, or?
Oh, my SSD is rather on the full side, and according to all the health monitors that I keep firing at it, it is failing.
Yeah.
So.
Anything you need on?
I'm hoping soon to get the stuff I need to really rebuild it and make it healthy again.
Samsung make the best SSDs. They're guaranteed for 10 years.
Yeah, I shall. I mean, I guess yeah. I think the Samsung SSD is about the same price as the WD Black, which was the one I was also looking at.
I've heard mixed stories about digital, but I've always gone for the Samsungs, and I've never had a problem. And Terry's got the Samsung, one of my old ones.
Yeah, I've got a Samsung.
Yeah. It's got an 840 Pro.
Yeah, well, this Strix brand thing that's in my system is apparently has a reputation for being a bit crap. But anyway, I think now would be a good time to at least end the live stream. So for those who are watching in YouTube land, thank you very much for your attention.
Are we still streaming?
Yep.
Quite exactly, Pap.
Getting old. I thought you ended the stream ages ago.
Good. Oh. I was going to, and then I didn't bother. So good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it may be. And I shall speak to you all again sometime soon.